Okay, we're gonna do a video. Psst. Virginia. Why don't you run the serger? or maybe the
I'm the one that
It's never dull. It's never dull. Okay, here we go. Ready to roll? Or are you just still rolling? You're still rolling. You're doing the outtakes screens again. Okay, so hi, I'm Kathy from Always in Stitches in Noblesville, Indiana, and it's Thursday. What's new day? I'm loving fall in Indiana. I don't know if where you are the trees change color, but here we get the most beautiful assortment of golds and greens and reds and yellows and purples, and it's stunning. And Peter behind the camera, hi Peter.
Hi everybody.
He loves to wear sweaters, and so
Love sweaters.
first cold morning he was like, I'm wearing my sweater. And then the problem is it starts cool and then it gets really hot. So it's like it's 32 in the morning and then by the middle of the day it's 75 degrees. And so we're all like, you know. But anyway, that's what the weather's like here. Hope your weather's comfortable and fun. So what's new this week? Pretty exciting. We're going to talk about a bunch of things that start with B because I love alliteration and Peter does too. So we like to always try to make things be the same. So we're going to talk about batiks. We're going to talk about batting. This is batting. We're going to talk about bags. And we're going to talk about bowling, which is totally random, silly, but we thought it would be fun. So first I have a Maggie joke. Those of you who watch us, you know we love our Megs. And she always has the best jokes. And so this is kind of a bat thing because we're trying to stick with the bee theme. So her joke is, why are vampires bad at art? It's because they can only draw blood. So that's a bat thing. It's like maybe a vampire bat can only draw blood. That makes sense. It was a little bit of a stretch, but we thought it was funny. Okay, so the reason I'm where I am, you may not have seen this part of the store if you're not in here for any reason. There's no reason for you to come back here. There's a big sign on the door that says employees only. It's where all the double top secret things happen, so don't tell anybody you saw what we're doing back here. But this is our orders department. So behind me is where Bonnie and Jennifer and Patty and whoever we assigned to that department that day happens to be. And they do a lot of stuff to get things ready to go to the floor. One of the things that they get to do is when stuff comes in, they process putting the tags on it and getting it ready so that when our inventory goes out, they know what's here. That's how we help our orders department be familiar with what's in the building. Because they get phone calls all the time, and that's what's so cool. If you didn't know, we have a personal shopper, and that's what we call them, personal shopper. Somebody called it customer service. I just think that just doesn't sound as fun.
I call it our concierge service.
Our concierge service. Doesn't that sound fancy schmancy? But at the end of the day, really what they're here to do is you can email them at orders@alwaysinstitches1.com and say, this is what I'm looking for. We've got a lady we're working with in the United Kingdom that wants yarn, and we're taking care of her through our email so we can save on the phone calls. And she's going to ship to the United Kingdom. Same goes for pretty much anything that comes in on our online orders. They do all the fulfillment for that. But you can also call them. They've got a dedicated phone line that you can actually send pictures if you're trying to match things. And I just think it's that step above service that we give here that a lot of people aren't familiar with, and so you don't always access it and use it. So please do. They're very helpful. They're great for, you know, if you say I bought a yard or two of this and I need 3 more, they'll help you find it. So that's where I'm at. I'm in the orders department in the back of the store. And the reason we're here, because this is so new, it's not even out yet. Now, the owner of the store, I'm the manager, the owner of the store named Lenine, she did a video on our floss tube, which if you watch our floss tube, you've seen her. She's fun and adventurous. And she made the wonderful decision to show you a whole bunch of fabric going to our clearance department that's not yet processed. So I want to tell you a little how that works. Stuff comes in our back door and it has to be entered into our point of sale, and it has to have the barcode put on it. It has to be all made pretty, and then it goes to the floor. That can take 24, 48 hours. It could take 2 or 3 business days. I mean, it doesn't just happen like that. The other thing is when things go to clearance, we kind of got to do the backwards part of that and go in and change the pricing and put it back out and put new barcodes on it. So just because we show you something, sometimes there may be a little delay before it's actually available for purchase. So just be aware that if we show you something, it's so new that you might not get it right away. So give us 2 or 3 days to get it ready. Or call the orders department, bug them, they'll figure it out. So this is a new batik line. Told you all that to tell you this. Island Batik is the company. The line is called... Nancy, what's the name of this line? Do you know?
Be kind.
Be kind? Oh, be kind. Look, there's the Nancy note right there. If I'd have just read the note. But, you know, nobody reads signs. That's why we don't like them. Yeah, this is called Be Kind. And somewhere in here, there's one of them that has bees on it. And it
I
is...
see a hive.
Yeah, there's honeycombs. Okay, I'm going to step in front of the camera just for a second. There's honeycombs. Isn't that fun? Purple honeycombs. There's some pretty flowers. And these are batiks. There's the bees.
There's the bees. It's the bees' knees.
It's the bees' knees.
Oh, and
Do
there's
bees have
multicolor bees.
knees? Do bees have knees?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Okay, let's go. We gotta get to the multicolor one.
That is fun.
Isn't that peachy? Now, there may be a little glare because it's still in the
And
plastic.
you know what else I just realized?
What?
We have an Island Batik ambassador that works in the orders department.
We do. Jennifer's an Island Batik ambassador. Look at this one.
The Hummers.
Hummers, bees. Isn't that fun? This is really cool. If you've not worked with batik fabrics before, they're kind of fun because they don't... Oh, look at these bees. Here they are in purple with green.
I love the purple and green.
Batiks are fun to work with because they're a little denser than our normal quilting cottons because they've been, the way that they're dyed and they're waxed and they're washed and they're washed. And so they're already kind of like pre-washed fabric. So that's the bee's knees. These down here,
Blenders.
this one we just bought for blenders. I don't know if this name even has a line. Oh, Paisley got mod. So this is another line. This is,
Oh, that's a good background color.
yeah. That's what we liked about these. Sometimes in your batiks,
You never have the light ones.
Yeah, you don't have light colors. Here,
I'm throwing them all on the floor.
how pretty that is. So, and then, you know, Cappy's a sucker for aqua. So if there's aqua in it, I'm going to buy
I
it.
like that seafoam right there.
I do too.
Paisley
See if I'm
with
pretty.
yellow.
Green. So, yeah, if you're a batik person, you're going to want to get here over the weekend. We should have this processed and out and get some fun batiks to make some fun stuff with.
People keep asking for fat quarter bundles when I show pictures of new lines on when I post pictures on Facebook. If somebody wants a fat quarter bundle, what should they do?
Call the orders department and tell them I would like a fat quarter bundle of that complete line, and if you buy everything in the line, we'll price it for you at the regular per yard price rather than the fat quarter price. So it's going to save you some money. Right now these are coming in at what, 13 or 14? Let's see. Yikes. Fabric's going up, man. Everything is. Yeah, these are $14.99 a yard. So you would pay, let's say there's 20 bolts in the line, which is typical. You're looking at 5 yards of fabric, and you're going to pay that $14.99 price instead of 5 yards of fabric as fat quarters at $3.99 a quarter yard. So it's definitely a better deal. But you need to call and tell us because we're not cutting bundles unless they're requested. So we're happy to cut bundles for you, but you got to tell us about it. So that's like, these are so new they're not even out. That's like the
I love
newest of new.
those.
I do too.
They're so beautiful.
These are great. And you can put batiks in any quilt. You don't have to just put batiks with batiks.
I like batiks as a binding too.
Yes. Great for binding.
It
Good
just-
point. Well, they're just that density. You know,
Yeah.
it's safe.
Oh, speaking
Density.
binding.
Bindings. Ooh, we could talk a little bit about bindings too. We'll talk about binding tools. That's another B word. We got to get all the B words in today.
We had our little get together this morning to talk about what we were going to do in the video.
Yeah, and
now I can't remember what we talked about.
I know. We have too many. We have so many ideas. We can't get them all in a video. So anyway, this is our orders department. You're getting a sneak peek in the back end of the store. A little more noise back here. Our video area is back here too. So I'm gonna go now to batting. I think. Let's go talk about batting. Show you what we did in that department. So here we are in the batting department. If you guys have been back here before, you've noticed we had all this batting and it was a little messy. I'll just own that. It was hard for us to sort our batting by all the different sizes and brands and things. And so, thankfully, we have an employee who has a wonderful husband. Steve and Sandy are their names. And he built these really nice dividers. So now we've labeled all of our batting especially the bagged batting like this. And you can find it, you know, and we can also better mark our inventory. So if you're looking for a particular type of batting, you can find it. And then that kind of asks the question, well, why would I use one batting instead of another? Choosing the right batting for your project is almost as important as choosing the colors and the thread and all the things. It's like the perfect recipe comes together with the right ingredients. It's exactly the same way with your quilts or whatever project you're using to put batting in. So batting comes in a thin weight, it comes in a heavy weight, it comes in cotton, it comes in polyester, low loft, high loft. Depending on how you want your project to finish, you need to select the right batting. Do you want it warm? Do you want it breathing? So when you get ready to pick batting, let our staff, who are so knowledgeable and so helpful and so friendly, help you choose the right batting for your project. And it doesn't always have to be in a bag. We also have it on rolls. So that is not batting right here. I picked it. It's near the batting, but it's not. This is fleece. But batting, so here we have, this is got, what do I want to say?
Ensilbright.
Ensilbright, there you go. See, Peter's the brain. Ensilbright in it, so if you're making hot pads or maybe placemats or even table runners, you want something that won't damage your table, this is Ensilbright. Then this is warm and natural cotton, We have some down here on the bolts. This one's made just to do table runners. I mean, how perfect is that? I don't even have to change the size. I just buy it the right size. This one, that's more Ensilbright. That's Ensilbright. Again, on the roll here, Ensilbright on the roll. So there's more than one way to buy batting, is what I want you to understand. If you don't find it in the size you need in the bag, you can always have them cut a piece off of the roll for you. And that's why we have this cutting table set up back here, just so we can get you the batting that you need. Now here's the fun thing. We're going to give this one away, and we're going to put it in this beautiful Always in Stitches bag. See, it's the bee thing. We had bees on the fabric, we had batik fabric, we had batting, a bag, a bat. We talked about a bat. And now, we're going to take us one step further. We want to talk about bowling. Now, Peter, when I said bowling, he lit up. He's like, I love to go bowling. And you really do bowl?
I like to bowl. I haven't been in for a long time, but I do love it. I love it.
Yeah, see,
I don't do it like in a league or anything, more like amateur style.
Yeah, well, and when we said bowling, a couple of the people in the back piped up and went, oh yeah, Nancy even said she'd been in a league, which I'm like, I'm so impressed. I have 2 left feet and 2 left hands. I'm terrible at anything athletic, just awful. So I'm impressed. But we thought, and then they started telling some funny stories. So we thought what might be fun is in the comments, you talk about a bowling thing, because we're in the bee thing. So this really is not a quilting thing at all, but it was just fun.
It's fun.
A bowling thing. Yeah, we're the fun store. Talk about a bowling thing, and we'll pick somebody from the group, and we're going to give you this bag with batting, and I think it is big enough for a bowling ball, isn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So there you go.
Yeah, tell us a memory or a story or an experience about bowling.
Yep, there you go. And then we're going to give away this bag. So we've talked about batiks, we've talked about batting, we've talked about bowling. So now I think we're going to talk about binding and some of the binding tools, because I think binding is like blows your mind. How do I put bindings on? How do I make that work? Let's go look at some of the notions that we sell to help make binding your quilts easier. See you there. Okay, we are in one of our notions bins. We have, when you walk in the store, there's about 3 little cubbies that are full of notions for different areas. One's kind of bags. This is primarily templates. The other one's scissors and things like that. So if you're looking for a notion, come in. Again, our great staff will be happy to show you some things. But I wanted to talk to you about cutting your bindings for your quilts. Anytime you're cutting anything for your quilt, it's got to start with a good cutting mat. If you don't have a cutting mat, buy the biggest one you can afford. Now, for your birthday month, we do give you a 20% discount on anything you buy that's regularly priced. So if your birthday's coming up, it's a good time to buy a mat. They're not inexpensive, but they're going to be worth your investment when you get there. For you need one big one just to cover a whole area, but I also have lots of little small ones for when I travel, and there's a whole thing about buying a mat. But get a mat if you don't have a good mat. The other thing you want to think about is a good rotary cutter. Again, buy the best you can afford. Rotary cutters are kind of like, gosh, they're everything. I mean, really, at the end of the day, if you don't have a good rotary cutter,
It's an extension of your arm, literally.
Good point. Good point. Very good to say. If it's not sharp, change your blade. It's you wouldn't use a dull pencil. You can't use a dull rotary blade. So be sure you have good rotary blade in your system. And then the other thing is your cutting edge, we'll call it, or grids, or ruler, I guess. Again, minimum, you got to have this one 24-inch long in some size. These are the best. There are knockoffs of Creative Grids. They're not the same quality, so be sure you're buying your Creative Grid ruler from a quality situation with a shop that you know it's reputable, because there's knockoffs out there. They're super cheap. If it's too good to be true, it's too cheap, because it's not true. But buy a good ruler too. So to cut my bindings, I'm going to have a good mat, I'm going to have a good ruler, I'm going to have a good rotary cutter. And then once you get that binding cut, whether you cut it bias or straight, and we can have a little video about that. I think we do have a bias. We might have a binding cutting video on there. If not, we might have to make one.
We'll have to update it. We got new technology.
We do have new technology. That's a good point. So there's some tools that I really, really, really like when I'm doing bindings. Okay, we decided we wanted to sit at a table to show you some of these binding tools that I think are super, super important when I'm doing a binding. So I think the binding really is like the very last little bit of icing you put on the cake. It's the last little piece that makes the quilt go pop. There's so many fun things you could do. You can put flanges, you can put decorative stitches on your binding, you can do piping along your binding. I think sometimes we get to the binding and we're just like, I just want to get it done. And you put it on and you miss the opportunity to really give that quilt the last that makes it wow. So don't rush through the bindings. You need to be sure you do some fun stuff if you want to. But there's some tools that make that easier. So first of all, sewing the binding on. And I love this tool. It's called the binding tool. Isn't that original?
Hey, it makes it easy to find when you're searching for it online.
What this does is it gives you the nice measurements and a really, really good tutorial on how to combine the binding once you've sewn it onto your quilt, because you get to that point where you're trying to put it together and that can be complicated. Love this little tool. There's ways to do it without it, but boy, if you're a beginner, the $10 you're going to invest in this tool is well worth it. So this helps it when you're ready to get that last little finish before you close it up on the quilt. The other thing that I like, I can't go anywhere without these right here. So we were doing a class last night. Peter was in the class with us.
Oh my gosh, I was so distraught.
Why were you distraught?
Because out of my package that I bought last year of the Wonder Clips, I wonder where they all went, because I only had 4 of them. So I had to hit up all my sewing there. Hey, can I borrow a couple clips? Hey, can I borrow a couple clips?
Yeah, these are like I don't know, they're the best thing ever. So binder clips are great. When you're putting your binding on, you want to use these little clips. If you don't have a box, buy a whole box full. And that's what Peter said last night. He's like, he goes, I was just kind of not able to figure out why somebody would buy such a huge box of binder clips. And he held out his hand. He goes, I've only got 3 binder clips left. I know now why you buy the big box. So
buy 2 boxes. You do. You need 1 to use, and then when those all disappear, you have your backup. Your backup box.
Yeah, they're great. You're going to want some of these. So those are great because they hold the binding on as you go. And one of the things that I like to do is, because you usually have joins where you've sewn your binding together, is I like to pre-clip all my binding on all the way around so that those joins don't come up at the corners. Because if you get that in the corner when you're doing your turn, it's really kind of a messy turn and it doesn't go as well. So binder clips are the bomb. Okay, now the next thing is, and we probably should have done this last, but that's okay. We got them out of sequence. When you cut your fabric to make your binding, and you cut it 2, 2.5, 2 1/4, that's a debate we will not have. But you ask 10 quilters what size binding they like, and you're going to get 10 different answers. You cut it whatever you want. But then you have to fold it and iron it wrong sides together, okay? This is your friend. This is called the sashers. They come in all different sizes. This is kind of the queen of the sashers. It has every size in it. You can buy just particular sizes if you know which one you want. I love these sashers. Would not be without a set. I think I even have 2 sets because they're just that
You got the backup
awesome.
set.
I do. So what happens is you take your folded fabric and you run it through this little kind of like a belt buckle almost. You run it through there, and then you can set this in front of your iron, and you just iron, and it just makes that fold perfect. It's exactly the right size. You don't have any problems with the binding being whopper jaw, I guess is the word I want to use, because that is a real word. But it does it in all different widths. These are great for those people who do applique work too. So if you want to do like teeny tiny little stems, you can get an 1/8 of an inch piece.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so our applique people, if you're doing a lot of applique, this is fun because you can get all your folds right and it lays nice and flat. So a lot of applications for these besides binding, but my 2.5 one is just eaten up.
And it sounds like it keeps your fingers out of the way from the
Yes.
hot iron.
Yeah, I still have fingertips because I have these. I'm not. So we were talking about glue guns the other day, and remember glue guns? Everybody had a glue gun, and they were so hot, and you would burn your fingertips off. And I'm like, that's the great way to get in the witness protection program. You use a glue gun, and you have no more fingertips, or fingerprints. But anyway, this prevents that from happening. So the other part that gets complicated is when you're sewing the binding onto the quilt. And I love these. There's this one. It's called a quilter's digit. Same thing. It's just a sharp point, basically. It's like a stylus tool. This is a stylus tool. I think I have 3 of these just because I use them all the time for all kinds of things. But when you're sewing on a binding, and look, they even show, oh, perfect. Look, on the back, their little picture of how to use it shows to use this when sewing on a binding. Because you can't get up as close as you need to the needle to guide that fabric sometimes.
Oh, I needed that. I needed that yesterday. It's the wooden iron. I was trying to press that seam.
Yes. And that's the other thing. On the other end is this wooden part. You can flatten things out with it when you don't want to use a hot iron because you're working with vinyl or close to nylon zippers. This will let you press things. It's better than a finger press because you can really push with this. So this is another tool. Wouldn't leave home without it. Just wouldn't leave home without it. This one's cool. I didn't know we had this one. This is more like
I hadn't seen that before.
I know, but you know what? I think it works the same.
It would.
It's a little less expensive than this one. So that if you're just looking for that, it's good. So basically we're talking when you're binding your quilts, these are some basic things. See, we're just doing bees everywhere, aren't we? This is so good. These are some basic things I would recommend that you have. They may not be new to you, but to some quilters, these are going to be brand new, like mind-blowing things. So we'll keep you updated on the notions that come, and then I think something really fun's coming in our next What's New. I mean, I don't want to tease you too much, but there's an event happening in Houston very soon, and Lenine and I are going to be heading down there. So you want to see next week's What's New because we're going to be talking about some things that are going to happen because we go to Houston in the shop a little bit after we get back. I can't say anything more. I don't want to spoil it, but it's going to be awesome. So for now, I think we covered all the bees. What do you think, Peter? Batting,
That sounds like it.
bags, batiks. We even had bees in the
Bees,
batiks.
yep.
We talked about binding,
We talked about the vampire bats.
the bats, and we talked about bowling. I mean, I want to hear some funny bowling stories. So here's mine. When I bowl, I'm terrible. I throw the ball, and it always goes behind me. There's something about the way I throw. I mean, you don't want to sit behind me because you might get knocked in the head by a bowling ball.
So should you turn your back towards the pins?
Maybe I should if I bowled backwards. See, there's another B. We're just all about the letter B today. This brought to you today by the letter B.
We're just blowing this video up.
We are. So thanks for watching. We hope to see you again next week on our What's New Thursday. And you really want to watch it. It's going to have some exciting news in it for you. So thanks a bunch. Happy stitching.